Welcome back, new episode of Fragrance Updates. As you can clearly see, we are outside and winter has come. Surprisingly enough, it's not even that cold because today it's above zero and it's so beautiful. It's so quiet. Ski season has not started yet and this is the best time of the year to experience snow. This is far from the amount of snow that we usually get, but this is actually the first snow that will stick until March or April. Again, absolutely beautiful stuff. Today, while taking a walk out here, I just found myself pondering something fairly simple, at least on surface. It's something that I've been thinking a lot about because it really changes the way I experience fragrances myself. It also changes drastically the way you put yourself out in the world with your fragrance. And this is all about fragrance spray or spray routine, or how many sprays of the fragrance you put on every time, every session. First and foremost, quick question right off the bat. Do you consider yourself an oversprayer or an undersprayer? Myself, I feel that I'm gradually going more and more towards an oversprayer. Maybe it's because I'm slowly finding that I'm building confidence with my overall fragrances. People are kind of knowing me as a fragrance geek, and at that point, I just broke that barrier. Maybe it's because I'm going more and more nose blind with my fragrances, given the fact that I'm constantly exposed to very strong smells. Overall, though, I do it with a purpose because some fragrances can drastically change their wear experience according to how much you spray. When you spray a lot more, the fragrance just presents itself in a completely different way. I have two quick examples that I want to talk about. One is Les Indemodables Ambre Supreme. I already mentioned this in my review. I already mentioned this every time I feature this fragrance. The more you spray that fragrance, it just comes alive. When you spray a ton of it on, it lasts a lot longer and you perceive the base notes, the ambre gris that is, way more. The fragrance is so much more engaging. By being timid on the sprays, you're not really getting the full wear experience. It's not like spraying half, you get half of the experience. By spraying half of the amount, you get way less. That is at least in my experience. Another example that I want to bring is one that I also kind of talked about briefly, and that is Homage Overture Man. That fragrance can appear to be extremely challenging, especially in the opening, especially that very jarring, very piercing cumin note. But if you overspray, if you spray a ton of it on, the fragrance just mellows out, it rounds off, and it becomes much more wearable, surprisingly. Again, it's a potent fragrance with a lot of presence, but that cumin note, which is incredibly distracting in the opening when you spray little, it becomes part of the scent overall. It becomes part of the scent profile. It wears fantastically well. To all those that feel that Homage Overture Man is a very challenging fragrance, specifically due to the opening cumin note, try spraying more. It will just come across as a traditional planted masculine fragrance. That leads us in my second question for you guys. Have you ever experienced a fragrance that completely changes, completely opens up the more you spray it on, to the point where it's almost unrecognizable? Well, obviously, the more you spray, the more you're going to be filling a room, the more you're going to be detectable outdoors. And the less you spray, the more intimate of a wear experience you get. Sometimes I really want a wear experience which is intimate. Sometimes I really want to keep the scent for myself, partially because I'm almost jealous about it. I'm almost gatekeeping it. And it's not because I want to prevent people from smelling the fragrance, possibly identifying the fragrance, going out and buying it, and ultimately smelling like me. None of that. It has nothing to do with that. It's because some fragrances to me are very emotional. I keep them near and dear to my heart. For example, one of them is Homage Silver Oud. That fragrance to me really represents meditation. It represents Zen. It represents relaxation. And I wear that thing all year round. And when I do, it's very intimate. It's very precious. It's a precious moment that is difficult to share because when I have to explain what it does to me and why I decide to wear it, it just all falls apart. Going back to what I said before about over or underspraying, I think that it could be fun to analyze these two behaviors with a little bit more depth. On one side, we have the oversprayer. And oversprayers usually come in two flavors. The over-enthusiastic fragrance lover, where he or she overly applies a fragrance just because they want to share it with the world. They want to smell like that every day, all day, indefinitely. I feel that this is a fairly positive approach. Again, it can be overwhelming for the people around you, but overall, it comes from positivity, it comes from enthusiasm. On the flip side, we have the oversprayers, which are a little bit lacking confidence, not necessarily in themselves, but possibly in their fragrance. They possibly feel that the fragrance cannot be smelled by people around them, that it's lacking projection, and that it's lacking presence. And that sort of behavior can definitely lead to anosmia. Ask me how I know. And that is not necessarily because I was lacking confidence in my fragrance per se. It's not because I wanted everyone around me to smell it. It's because I was testing the fragrance out, applying more and more to see how it would develop. And at some point, I hit the breaking point. My nose was cooked, and applying more just resulted in me smelling it paradoxically less. So yes, I do suggest testing the fragrances, applying a lot of it on to see how it changes. But keep in mind that anosmia is a thing. Your nose gets insanely fatigued. So sometimes applying less is actually more. And I'm all for the philosophy, less is more. If overspraying is one side of the spectrum, underspraying can be considered the other one. Myself, I tend to label myself as more of an undersprayer rather than an oversprayer. Again, I'm getting there. I'm getting more and more comfortable in applying more and more fragrances to really explore what the scents have to offer. That being said, I still live in a country, in an environment, in a culture that is not necessarily super open towards applying a ton of fragrances on. Switzerland can be extremely closed-minded, especially towards very, very powerful scents applied in gross quantity. Underspraying is usually motivated by subtleness. It's usually motivated by the idea of politeness. It's usually tagged on to those people that don't like to be at the center of attention. And myself, being strongly introverted, I definitely fit all these bills. I hate when my scent announces my presence. I hate when people smell my scent across the room. I hate receiving compliments. I find it insanely awkward. Now, obviously, this is a me problem. Some people like to be at the center of attention. They like smelling good. And actually, they might even see that smelling good is not necessarily unpolite. It's not intrusive because smelling good is a good thing. Being in this space, navigating this community, you probably already heard of the saying that states something along the lines of, I'd rather have my fragrance discovered than it announcing my presence. Myself, I strongly abide to this principle. I hate being at the center of attention, so much so that, ironically, I haven't had a birthday party in so many years because I don't like people singing happy birthday to me. I know it sounds absolutely crazy. Some undersprayers might also tend to justify their behavior by saying that by applying less fragrance, you just come across as more elegant, more refined, more polite. You're not stepping on anyone's toes. You're not flooding a room with fragrance. That can be seen as extremely rude. On the flip side, though, if you never apply a lot of fragrance, you really never discover what the fragrance is capable of. You never know the limit. Again, as I said before in my introduction, some fragrances drastically changed when applied in quantity. It's absolutely amazing, and as a person that has finally experienced what some fragrances can put out, can develop into, I almost feel sorry for people that don't really apply because you're kind of missing out on their expensive purchase. Have you ever over-applied a fragrance because you could not smell it? Maybe thinking it was weak. Maybe thinking that people around you could not smell it at all, only to discover that you were literally choking out the whole room? Leave me a comment down below. These are very, very funny stories. On the flip side, have you under-applied a fragrance out of fear, possibly out of respect? Maybe because you thought that the fragrance was not suited for the environment. Maybe because you thought it was too animalic. Again, leave a comment down below. I love hearing these stories. Ultimately, I feel that the two concepts of overspraying and underspraying, other than obviously being also tied to fragrance choice, because some fragrances are straight up beasts, very, very loud with just a couple sprays, while other ones can tolerate a ton of sprays. I feel that these two concepts are more related to actual confidence, like person confidence. Because if you're very, very confident, you can wear a ton of fragrance and just make it work. It just will suit your personality. It will suit your stride. It will suit your presence. If you're not confident, wearing a very, very loud fragrance just feels weird. It feels inappropriate. A confident personality just has this massive aura around it that really fills the room with its presence. Not too dissimilar to fragrances, actually, surprisingly. So yes, if you are very, very confident, you'll probably be able to pull off extremely loud fragrances or a lot of sprays with way more ease. And I'm not necessarily saying that more confidence is better because each person is different. All I'm saying is that projection is not only physics, it's perception. It's the way you are perceived in a room. Speaking of confidence, and also given the fact that we're talking about spray routines, I feel that we have to at least address the compliment factor. Compliments are a thing. People talk about them, people enjoy them. In my opinion, compliments come with confidence. That being said, if people around you cannot smell your fragrance, it's unlikely that they'll compliment you on the fragrance itself. So, how much do you apply? Well, it really depends. Compliments come from a balance. Applying too much is like applying too much seasoning to a dish. Too much of a good thing can be too much. And unfortunately, ultimately, as I said before, a lot of it has to do with confidence. There's no real way around it. You have to be able to wear a scent with pride to tame its presence within a room. Otherwise, you end up with a fragrance or a scent that kind of wears you, as I say. And that is kind of like walking a dog which is just too big for you, that doesn't respect you, that is unbehaved. And that definitely does not inspire compliments. So where's this conversation going ultimately? Well, I'm not really sure. Every time we have these talks, I feel like a broken record because I give the same advice every time. I really want to push awareness. I really want to push you guys to really appreciate, discover, and spend time with the fragrances that you have. rather than acquiring more. Learn about them. Learn how they change by applying less or more. Learn how they fit you the best by applying less or more, how the longevity is affected, how the projection is affected, how your confidence is affected, how the scent profile changes. It's absolutely amazing. We have so many resources and we always are seeking the next thing. Anyway, I'll close this off, but before doing so, I just want to pose you 3 more questions. First of all, how many sprays do you usually apply? Also, during the years, or maybe during the months that you've been into this, has your spray routine changed? And ultimately, are you team overspray or team underspray? Leave me a comment down below. I'm very, very curious. Now, let's talk about some fragrances that I thoroughly enjoy. Today, I'll be showcasing quickly 3 fragrances that really cut through this cold, perfect for the winter, and they're actually 3 gourmands. And if you know me, I'm not even a huge fan of gourmands, but these 3 really touch me in a different way. The first one is one of my favorite gourmands ever. This one here is Zoologist Rabbit. This fragrance is absolutely amazing. I love it. It's so fun, so peaceful. It's a pure zoologist. It smells like carrot cake. It smells like a freshly baked carrot cake with a ton of spice in it. Let me just spray it in the air. Beautiful. This fragrance is playful. Playful is the best way to put it. Actually, a lot of gourmands I find very, very playful. And the gourmands that are heavy on the vanillas, heavy on the ambers, that are very, very base heavy, don't really appeal to me because those notes tend to mask any kind of nuance. They really take away any kind of dynamics. But this one here has a lot of details. This fragrance has a very particular texture. And as I mentioned in other videos, texture is not an easy thing to convey. This one here comes across as raw. It has this rye bread, like a whole wheat sort of texture. It has this sandy feeling, almost earthy. And I guess in a way, zoologist is kind of relating to the habitat of the rabbit, maybe these earthy tunnels. It's absolutely beautiful. And again, the more you explore a fragrance, the more you understand, the more it develops. This one here, ultimately though, is a gourmand. It kind of depicts this carrot cake layer by layer. When you first spray it on, you're met with this blast of spice, like cinnamon, clove. There's something really beautiful about it, very, very wintry. And then you go into the cake proper. It never really becomes doughy because it never goes into that elastic gooiness. This remains more damp. It remains more earthy. Again, it's beautiful. It lasts a ton of time. The projection is amazing. The wear experience overall is amazing. I don't feel this fragrance to be fatiguing. It's a very particular scent profile. I'm not always in the mood for wearing something like this just because it's very playful, almost childish, but in the best way possible. I love Zoologist. I love Victor Wong. I love the work they do. Zoologist is one of my favorite brands. I have a ton of their fragrances, and this one here, in my opinion, is definitely one of the standouts. Absolutely amazing. Zoologist Rabbit, highly, highly recommended. The second unusual gourmand that I want to present to you today is a little bit of a doozy. I'm saying unusual because, as I mentioned before, I'm not really into gourmands, into the more traditional gourmands. I like stuff that is a little bit weirder, and this one here definitely fits the bill. This is by Beaufort London, and it's Lignum Vitae. This is a very, very particular scent because it feels old school in the sense that it feels like some sort of a dessert made in Depression times. This comes across as so strange. It comes across as a wooden ginger biscuit. It has this woody sawdust texture to it, which is so particular. It feels like something you would not want to eat, but it's appealing smell-wise. It's like you're baking a cookie and you're like, wow, what are those cookies? And then you look at them and they're like, hard as a rock. They feel stiff. They feel like wooden planks. This fragrance could not be from any other brand. This is the gourmand take from Beaufort London, and in true Beaufort London style, the thing is an absolute beast. It projects a ton, it lasts forever, and it's very, very weird. This ultimately smells like a plate of gingerbread cookies from the pirate times. It smells so rugged, so dry, so harsh, and so spicy. There's also possibly a little bit of tobacco in here. There's woods, there's oud, there's smoke. It's really, really cool. Surprisingly masculine. Beaufort London is an absolutely amazing house. I love how creative they are. So innovative, so different. They do their own thing. They do it in their style. And this one here is super, super cool. I highly recommend trying it out. If you want a gourmand that is different, not too sweet, edgy, gritty, harsh, and just kind of weird. My last fragrance option is a true new acquisition. It's a fragrance that I've been wearing a ton just because I find it so damn addictive. It's a fragrance that I never imagined in a million years I would ever own. This one here is by Sodora and it's Johnny. This is basically the perfect depiction of a tartartin. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a perfect depiction of an apple pie. It's perfect. It's very, very sweet. It's super, super powerful. It fills a room. But at the same time, I don't find it cloying. I don't find it fatiguing. This opens up with a fantastic pastry note, which surprisingly isn't even that sweet. It's just very, very realistic. It's super, super rich. You can definitely pick up on the butter. The butter is perfect. You can really picture this butter embedded into the pie crust. This is one of the more realistically delicious gourmands that I've ever tried. It's one of the more edible gourmands. And I smelled a lot of gourmands, and a lot of them are vanilla, chocolate, etc. But they present in a more perfumey way. They're more abstract. This thing here is straight up photorealistic. Smelt in a vacuum under my nose, I would say, all right, it's a pie. And then after this beautiful opening, again, not too sweet, but very, very rich, then you start migrating into the apple section. And the apples in here are cooked. They're ripe. They're very, very juicy. They're sweet. They're candied, and they have this spiciness to them. Obviously, the usual spices like cinnamon, like I'm not really sure what else is in a tartartin, but they feel caramelized. They're so, so beautiful. The apples combined with the pastries are magnificent. This fragrance here is insanely addicting, as I said before. It's massively long-lasting, as a fragrance like this would suggest. It just projects a ton. It fills a room. It's so beautiful. This is a true winter scent that really cuts through the cold. It cuts through this sort of environment with the snow. I have to fully admit that the brand Sodora is one of those brands that really surprised me. Again, the fragrances are nothing crazy. They're very commercial, very mass market, very mass appealing. They're very much entry-level niche, but they're done surprisingly well. They're so extremely potent, long-lasting. The presentation is absolutely beautiful. This one here specifically has a frosted glass. The atomizer is gorgeous. The price is expensive, yes, but I feel that they're almost worth it because these are long-lasting. They're powerhouses, and you get a lot for your money. Sodora, cool brand. Johnny will be definitely one of my staples for this winter. This gourmand is amazing. I just uncapped it, and I smelled apple pie. How can you not smile? Overall, cool stuff. Again, I'm not super into gourmands, but these three really hit on the spot. What more can I say? I guess it's time to wrap up this video. Out here, it's absolutely beautiful. It's peaceful. It's quiet. It's serene. I have not seen another living soul through the recording of this video, and now the sun is even coming out. So it's definitely time to finish up my walk. We've talked about spraying routine. We talked about overspraying, underspraying. What do you guys think? Which category are you in? Do you like the fragrances that I showcased? Do you like gourmands? Have you ever tried the fragrances that I showcased? Well, leave me a comment down below. I'm eager to join the conversation. It's about it for now. I'm going to go on a walk because there's a forest awaiting me. See you in the next one, and cheers.